everybody. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of Conversations with Crow. Today, I'm with my lovely partner, Irene Castruita.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm great.
How's life been?
You know what? It's been wonderful. I've just been feeling really good and really aligned, and I'm loving it.
Cool. Last time we spoke, we talked about our pasts. What, based on your past, what wisdom have you gathered that you can share with us?
You know what? Based on my past, the wisdom that I have gathered and something that I'm really practicing and living and experiencing is actually just living in the present and focusing more on the future. I'm really being super mindful of like not letting my past and things that have happened in my past to like dictate how I feel and kind of what I want for my life.
Okay.
So kind of letting that go and just keep moving forward.
How do you do that? How would you recommend? How would you recommend people do that? Like, because that's I think one big part of like our lives is that some of us get stuck looking back. Mm-hmm. We keep like, well, because back then. What do you recommend?
You know, truthfully, what I noticed for me is because I would get stuck on my past and really focus on my past, then I really wasn't enjoying the present moment. Mm. So a lot of times my mind just wouldn't be present, you know. I could be in a room full of people laughing, having a good time, but then like something would trigger a thought, and then I would just get lost in just thoughts that had nothing to do with the moment. And the reality is that since I can remember, I really enjoy being happy and positive and just being in a good place. Like, that's part of my genetic makeup. Like, since I was a kid, I just enjoyed being happy. But things along the way and experiences kind of started adding a little bit of shade to that. So I'm just remembering that, like, hey, tap into my inner child, tap into my inner spirit. And life is fun. I mean, we're only here for a little bit of time, right? So we got to make the best of it. And what I mean by fun, it's not like, oh, I'll go out, I'm going out clubbing and drinking. I don't find that fun, but I have fun. I love doing what I do. I love cooking. I love being with my family. I love listening to music. I love dancing as I'm cooking. Like, I just have a good time. It could be by myself. I don't need anybody there. You know, you hear me when you're in your studio. Like, I'm just having a blast.
No, and I think that's been one thing that I've been learning from you is that no matter what you're doing, you're always just enjoying life, no matter what. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because that I feel that energy really transcends. It really then emits to the universe, you know?
Yeah. You know, one thing that I've really come to terms with myself and I'm really embracing about myself is that my inner child can be very playful and have a lot of fun, and I'm open to tap into my inner child. But the other part is because my inner child is so present, I love being around kids. I love being around the youth.
That's what you were mentioning last time.
I really enjoy being in Kiki's class, Galaxy's class, even some high school kids, you know, when I do presentations and dialogues and workshops, and I really enjoy it. Like, that brings out a lot of joy in me and a lot of playfulness. So something, you know, when I'm talking about focusing more on the future and in the present is manifesting more of those experiences in my life where I'm working more with youth because I really love it.
How come?
I guess because I can be silly and playful, like I have a good time, you know, I enjoy it. Naturally, when I see kids, I just, my heart like swells up and I just feel like crazy amount of love. And my girls will tell you, and I'm sure you will say it, I mean, I'm telling them I love them 1,000,000 times a day. I give them hugs. I'm just really affectionate. You know, I'm just like, hey, I love you so much. Like, I'm just that person, you know? And it might irritate kids, sometimes my kids a little bit, but it's okay. That's who I am, and I'm not going to stop being who I am.
Right. And I think maybe that, at least for me, when I see kids, it's a reflection of me. Right, and it reminds me of like, man, I remember when I used to laugh. Why am I not laughing no more? Yeah. So that's another thing I've been implementing, just being more joyful and in the way of like bringing laughter back.
Yeah.
So I know you're always laughing. So.
You know, I mean, and I'm gonna be honest. You know, I noticed very recently, and we had a conversation about it, that I was getting really caught up with bills, and our car broke down, and I was kind of like letting that really get to me.
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, Irene, what's going on? Like, you're on a different energy frequency. I haven't seen you like this. Normally, you're more jovial. You're more just happy. And
well, you wake up whistling. That's for sure. You wake up singing, and those days you weren't. So it was just a check-in, just like, what's up?
But that really, like, you kind of saying, like, hey, Irene, what's up? Like, something's kind of off.
Yeah.
It really put me to, like, it just really got me reflecting. And the reality for me personally is, since I can remember, I've loved singing. I've loved music.
Yeah.
More so, I've just loved singing. It's not like I'm always listening to music. It's more like me creating my own little songs and just using my voice and kind of using those energy vibrations with my voice to just, like, tune into myself. And I'm remembering that, I get so caught up in being a mom sometimes and, being, making money, trying to make ends meet, that I kind of, like, disconnected from my voice. And so
it's almost like we forget of our gifts. We forget of, like, our, I guess, that of our power. And then slowly but surely we then maybe start getting caught up with that, with the financials of
of being an adult.
And adulting.
Yeah.
Which I think it's still, I mean, it's phases, right? Because when we're kids, we don't have that. We're just playing, we're just having fun. It's like as a kid, we're like, hey mom, hey dad, I'm hungry. Like, time to eat. To them, it's not like it's time to eat. It doesn't matter
whether the food just shows up.
It doesn't matter whether you have it or not. It's time to eat, right?
Yeah.
So I think that as we get older, we start seeing. I was like, okay, well, how am I going to provide that, right? Yeah. But I think what's important, and again, something I've learned from you was just to have fun while providing that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of your wisdom lies. And I think that day that I mentioned that to you, I feel that I was just a gentle reminder to you. I wasn't like, or was I? Was I rude? Was I mean? Was I?
No, not at all. You were kind of more like, hey, baby, like, what's going on? Like, you're missing that joy, like, that Irene that I know. What's going on? And I'm like, and then I really then reflected and then saw myself the previous day and the previous day and the previous week. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've been, like, energetically, I've been in a rut for, like, 2-3 weeks. Like, just because our car broke down, we had to pay a few $1,000s. Like, is that really going to take away my joy? Like, really? And I know there's a lot of stuff happening in the world energetically. I know there's a lot of shifts. But, like, the reality is that if I work on me to be clear and to be loving and to be joyful, that's a vibration that then I'm spreading to you. Yeah. Then you spread that to somebody else. You spread that to somebody else. And then we just act with love and joy,
I think what is cool is that, like, just starting with the smallest things, you know what I mean? Because I think sometimes when we say, like, just create that shift in you to add that love, to add that power to you, I think sometimes if that's not our foundation, if that's not the way we're conditioned, if that's not who we are, then we find it difficult, And I just say this based on people I've talked to, Yeah. And so what I'm thinking is maybe start with smaller things. Start with like that. If bills are always in your head, or bills are always in your mind, maybe then ease up. Maybe on spending on things that you truly don't need. Yeah. Maybe ease up on going out that extra night out. Things like that. That then money's not so much a concern. Yeah. There's got to be ways where we can manage our time better and manage our finances better.
For sure, and I think for me, what I started realizing is, like, I was focusing so much on the bills, but not too much on gratitude, on being grateful for what I already have. Right. And really, like, just being grateful and thankful and, like, saying it out loud to my family, saying it out loud to my friends, saying it out loud while I'm cooking. Like, man, I'm grateful for this opportunity to create a meal for others. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to create a meal for us. I'm really grateful for these fruits, for these veggies. Like, I really started working on upping my gratitude. And with that, naturally, I was like, okay, I'm upping my gratitude, but I also got to up my trust. My trust that everything's going to be okay. Yeah. Because if I spend so much time worrying and being anxious and being all cut up, like, that's only affecting me and the people around me. But if I trust, like, you know what, I'm doing good, I'm being grateful, I'm being joyful, I trust that everything's going to be okay, that Creator has it handled, that I'm putting out positive vibrations, then I trust that that'll come back. And you know what, it's been really, I've been seeing it,
Yeah, well, it's like I was telling our daughter, Kiki, a couple of days ago when I dropped her off in school, or a week ago. I was explaining to her, I was like, listen, you can have a good time in school or you can have a bad time in school. You choose.
Yeah,
right?
It's a choice.
It's a choice, so we can choose to, that be grateful, have gratitude, and also have trust in our life or not.
Yeah.
And I think when you have that in your toolkit, then you really do wake up with just having, you wake up singing.
Yeah.
You wake up whistling and smiling and.
Today, for example, I was at 2 grocery stores and it's packed full of people, and I'm doing all my shopping, and I made it a point that everybody that I made contact with, I'd be like, hi, how you doing? Buenos dias. Que tenga buen día. And I was doing that with everybody. Oh, I got so much love. Like, people are like, man, it was so good to see you. It's so good to see you again. ¿Cómo está, señora? Oh, muy bien. Mire, aquí está lo que necesita. Here's what you need, and then, like, even when I was smiling so much that I even got a discount at Costco. That was not supposed to be my discount.
Oh.
The guy just was like, he couldn't find a tag on something that I was buying. So he just entered a different code and it was like $3 off. So I was like, man, all that good vibe took off $3. I'll take it.
No, and it works. It does work that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've explored it enough. I've explored it enough in my own life where I'm like, well, I'm going to test to see. If I'm just in a crappy mood, I'm gonna see how my day goes. I'm just gonna, because I'm gonna test it for myself. Yeah. And sure enough, then I run into crappy situations, people that are not so nice, and then the next day I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really focus on good, positive intentions, just being thankful, being,
trusting,
joyful, being trusting. I think that trust, I'm just
hard.
For me, no. I think I'm just wired that way, to be honest with you.
For me, I think too much sometimes. But I'm working on just allowing. You're a good role model for me.
You gotta remember that we went from San Diego all the way to New York on trust. I mean, that's what I had. You know what I mean? I was just like, yo, let's go. And did we make it or did we not make it?
We made it, but okay. So true story. 2 years ago, Crow's like, I have this awesome idea. We're gonna travel cross country, doing workshops, sharing what we do, nurturing people from San Diego all the way to New York.
And back.
In the truck. In our truck. And
as a family, let's not forget.
Oh yes, as a family, exactly, as a family. And we're gonna be gone for about 5-6 weeks. And I looked at him and I was like, you're crazy. Because we probably only have like $100 in the bank right now. And you're talking about doing this next month. Like, you're crazy. And anxiety creeped up. But then I was like, I just saw how trusting you were and how excited.
What I told you was this. I don't remember. I told you, look, I understand if you don't want to do this. But take your time to meditate. Take your time to pray on this. Take your time to really figure out who's speaking through you. Is it your ego? Is it your fear? Or is it truly your spirit? Is it truly your truth speaking through you, saying, you know what, this is not a good idea?
Yeah.
Maybe 2-3 days later, you came back and you're like, let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm just wired that way, And
we made it!
Well, it's already 2 years later, right? And we can talk about it. But what I'm getting at is that I feel that area, I'm like, okay, cool.
Covered, yeah.
For me, I'm raising my vibration in the way of just being joyful.
Yeah.
I think once I started having kids so young at 17, I think there was a drop in joy because I took the role of being a dad real serious.
Yeah.
Because I remember as a kid, going back to being a kid, I always remember laughing and having a good time, being a little bit of a class clown.
Oh, party animal?
And a little bit of partying in there too. But then once my son was born, I remember just shifting gears and being like, oh, I'm a dad now. I gotta behave and I gotta act stern, right? All this nonsense.
Yeah.
But that's what my mind thought was a good idea.
Yeah.
And it's not till, it's been now some time now that I've been practicing joy and being open about it. And that I think it also becomes a thing of like, for me at least, was like, what's that person gonna say if they see me laughing out of the blue, or because I'm being exaggerated with my joy.
Yeah.
That would also kind of stifle me being me.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, hey,
you're just doing
it's me.
Now you're doing you and only worried about you, then you can truly be you.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm really seeing in my life right now is I love singing.
Mm-hmm.
And once I became a mom, I really shifted what I was doing musically. I started focusing more on food and obviously being a mom. So I stopped writing music. I stopped singing my own songs. I stopped thinking in my mind of creating songs. Not purposely. I think it just naturally led that way. I'm breastfeeding. I'm cooking for the family. I'm going out, doing stuff with the girls. That I started stepping away from singing. And what I'm noticing, because we had a conversation about how I wasn't singing anymore, and it was during the same conversation about not being joyful and about me not singing anymore, that I was like, that's right, like I'm not singing anymore. And so I started really then tapping more into singing and connecting and oming and humming and kind of doing these vibrations within myself, that what I'm realizing is like things are opening up to me right now energetically that are leading to more singing in my life. I had a presentation yesterday at USD in Professor Pulido's class, and I sang, and the whole presentation was about music and like storytelling via music, storytelling about my life via my songs. And man, I had such a great time at the presentation. But what I noticed is because I was singing and really raising those vibrations within myself, that today I just woke up like a little singing bird. I've been singing all day in the car, in the house, in the bathroom, as I'm shopping. Like, I'm singing Queen. I'm totally feeling Queen right now. Like, I keep singing the same songs over and over, but they just bring me so much joy.
Okay, so not to put you on the spot, but give us a little sample of that singing. I don't know, maybe what song could you sing? Like just a little sample, like just to raise our vibration. Let's raise our vibration then.
A little sample of something. You know what? This is a song that I didn't sing yesterday, but I wish I would have sang it. We wrote this song back in the day, and it was a song that was written when I was really, like, I remember really feeling like I want to manifest good, and I want to manifest beauty in my life, and I know I have that power. And then I realized that sometimes I would let my past hold me back, and I would have a hard time believing in myself.
Okay.
So the song is called Believe in Yourself.
Oh.
So it goes.
A true hit.
Don't you worry, don't you fret, believe in yourself. Don't you worry, don't you fret, believe in yourself. Imagine the wild things, creative thoughts flow. When dreams come together, it all starts with a spark. Ignite your mind, incite your soul. Don't be afraid to lose control. You never know where your dreams will lead you. You never know where your dreams will lead. You never know where your dreams will lead you. You never know where your dreams will lead. Take action, plant the seeds, and watch them grow. Okay, so that's a little preview, but believe in yourself. The part where I say, kind of like, don't worry, it's okay to lose control. The reality is a lot of times we want to control our lives, and we want to control outcomes, and we want to control situations. And when you stop wanting to control things and you just allow, then things align. And I wrote this song, 10 years ago before we had kids. And believing in myself, trusting. We had kids, we have a beautiful relationship, we have a beautiful family, we had a community garden, we have a food business. You've traveled the world, like painted so many murals, worked with so many youth. I'm working with youth. We have such beautiful family. Like, wow, like, I believed in myself. I believed in us. I believe that I can create something different, for my life, and take action, plant the seeds, but also watch them grow and allow and let it happen, And
you know what? Maybe every month I do like a little, going back to that, watching things grow. About every month I sit down and I do a little recap, of where I'm at in life, and same thing. I you know, that's what I come up with. I was like, you know what? It's just things have been evolving. They've been growing. There's new things that I want to explore, you know, and they're growing,
Yeah.
you know. Now, sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself and I plant a seed, an example, right? And I want it to grow right away. I want it to be like there now. I want it to manifest now. And it's like, well, that's unrealistic.
Yeah, that
You know,
overexcitement.
It's about allowing yourself time
Yeah.
to then watch it grow. And I think that's a powerful and beautiful song.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Anything else you want to chit chat about before we call it a day?
Believe in yourself. Take action. Plant the seeds. Watch them grow.
Well, and my friend Leon, Leon Rainbow, who I interviewed while I was in Trenton, New Jersey, he welcomed me into his home and we had a conversation. And he said, you know what, Crow, I agree with you. And I think that's great that, you know, you were perceiving this idea of like people, you know, being happy all the time and being aligned with their purpose. But he says something along in his own words, you know, I'm paraphrasing here. In his own words, he said, you know what? Not everybody has that. Not everybody can. And I was like, well, why not? And he said, well, because not everybody has that wisdom. And at that moment, I was like, okay, cool. And I think thinking now in retrospect, I'm like, well, I don't know if that's true. I think we all have the wisdom. Now, whether we tap into it or not, then that's the other thing. But I think we all have bountiful wisdom. And so how can we tap into more of that? I think that's maybe my question. How do we tap into our wisdom?
Well, you know, back to what you're saying about Leon and how he's like, you know, not everybody has that. I mean, I definitely feel like where I'm at right now at 39 years old is very different than where I was at 29 years old and 19 and 9 years old.
That's true.
So sometimes as time goes on, I gather new experiences, new situations, and so I learn from that. So I feel like I've acquired wisdom through time.
Yeah.
You know, through people I surround myself with. I personally, I don't like feeling bad. I don't like feeling sad. I don't like feeling mad. I don't like being angry. I don't know if people like feeling that way, but I know energetically when I feel those emotions, they don't sit well with me.
So what do you do?
I work on solving that.
How?
Different ways. I mean, sometimes it could be like, all right, guys, peace out. I need my space. I'll go to the room and I'll breathe. I'll just work on breathing. I'll light up some essential oils and work on like smelling stuff. I'll sage myself. Sometimes it's something as just simple as just picking up a book of one of my favorite authors and getting lost in this imaginary world. Sometimes it's looking outside and looking at the clouds and being like, man, like we're such wonderful beings, you know.
Back to gratitude.
You know, and for me, honestly, I can't be mad or angry too long because I have these little girls that like just come in with so much joy and goodness.
Yeah.
And they're so silly sometimes. You know, last night we were trying to put the girls to bed and we were laying in bed in the dark just cracking jokes for like an hour. You know, like, and it was like, I couldn't even be mad about the fact that they went to bed an hour later because we were just laughing so much, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like Creator also brings experiences into your life to kind of help shift your energy. But definitely meditating, for me personally, something that helps me out so much, and which is why I have a food business and I create food, is food. Okay. You know, for me to feel better, and if I really like I'm not feeling well, man, making myself a smoothie, a juice, a beautiful salad, even cutting up fruit for you, so cutting up fruit for my daughters.
We're talking about power foods. We're talking about natural.
Exactly. I'm all about, I love plant-based. So fruits, veggies, anything with color, anything that reminds me of my ancestors, my grandparents, frijolitos, nopales, like.
Well, because when you said food, I right away thought, I'm like, man, yeah, burger would cheer me up right now. Some fries.
Yeah, see, so energetically, that food tastes good to me, but energetically, it makes me feel heavy.
It's true.
So if I'm not, if energetically I'm feeling like,
you're already feeling low, why add more low energy to yourself?
So then if I add, like fruits, veggies, I make myself a juice. Life force, a vibrational food. For me, that works so good.
Yeah.
A lot of times for me, like, you would think back in the day, my life source food was ice cream. I loved ice cream so much that, like, if I was upset at somebody, they knew, give Irene ice cream, she'll like cheer up, But now it's like, I don't really eat ice cream. It's very rare, because for me, I'm like, give me like a plate of fruit. This is like goddess, Mother Earth creation. So for me, it's a lot has to do with food. I do a lot of healing and spiritual healing through food. And creating it and sharing it with others. Like, there's something about that is really empowering to me. Yeah. And it really brings out that nurturing side of me. And I create it with a lot of love, so I tap into that,
Okay.
So, I'm sure similar to you when you create art,
For sure. Yeah, art for me allows me to like see past all the it grounds me and it puts me in my present moment, but then it also gives me the foresight, and it allows me to be clear with my thoughts, So, I mean, I think what I sometimes get from people, because I'm interviewing or I'm having conversations with people from different walks of life, not all of them are creatives, not all of them are artists. I beg to differ. They tell me they're not creatives, and I'm like, no, I think you are. You just, same thing with wisdom. You just haven't tapped into it. But not everybody feels that they're creatives, right? Yeah. So I think for that, I also, I want to be inclusive of like, okay, if you don't sing, if you don't dance, if you're not a creative, you don't paint. Okay, there's other ways, and one simple way that I always say is just journal. Journal, go into the mountains, go to the beach, go, to your sacred space and just journal and tap into gratitude.
Yeah. Something that I've learned from you, a good way to shift energy and to gain more clarity is taking a bath.
Yeah, I love my bubble baths.
Oh, taking a bath with like some Epsom salt, some essential oils, burning some sage. I'm not a bath person. I'm like, let me shower, get in and out. But I know recently I've taken a few more baths than normal, and they've been so healing, And one thing that I've done in the bath, same thing that I learned from you, is all chant or all om. Yeah. And something about the echo of like the vibrations in the bath, or even when you're showering, the vibrations of the water coming down and then you kind of singing through, and it creates this kind of really amazing portal to shift energy. I know last week I was a little bit nervous about a gig I signed up for, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Okay, I hope this is going to work out. And I was like, you know what? Get in the shower. And I just started oming, and it just started very simple as, oh, and I just started just being so silly, but really imagining like the vibration coming from like my root chakra all the way up, and then kind of like wrapping me up and then extending out into the universe. And next thing you know, I was there for like 10-15 minutes just like making all kinds of sounds from like my inner core. And once I left the bathroom and I was done showering, it was like I was a new person from the anxiety and the fear that I was letting consume me before I came in the shower.
Right.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people talk about like, oh, I'm depressed and I feel very anxious, and I have moments where I feel like anxiety kind of brewing in my belly. Anxiety really creeps up on me in my belly. And I breathe it through, but then also the chanting, something about that really helps release. And then personally, I another self-care thing that I do for me that I've noticed changed my life is I stopped drinking caffeine.
Right.
Anything with caffeine doesn't do well for my anxiety, and I get nervous and I start getting the jitters and I feel all kinds of ways that are not true to who I am.
Right.
So I stay away from caffeine, and that has changed my life.
Cool. I think it definitely has to do with like the individual, like
For sure.
because there's people like that they'll drink gallons of caffeine and they according to them they're good, and there's people that like you a little bit of caffeine and they start wilding out.
I get really snappy.
Yeah, same thing with like meat. Some people can eat meat all day. Doesn't according to them doesn't affect them. They feel great, but other people are like I can't. I feel. I feel dead weight. I feel low energy.
Yeah. So I think it's really the biggest thing to self-care is what works for you and feeling that out and practicing that.
It boils down to self-awareness. Kind of like, how do I feel?
Yeah.
Because we could read all the books, we can listen to all the podcasts, we can listen to advice from different people, but in the end, like, how do you feel with this? Which goes back to the journaling. I think that's why journaling is to me is key. The one thing I did yesterday, was it yesterday? I'm really bad with time, as you know, but yesterday, a couple days ago, the girls, our daughters, were having a moment, and what I had them do was like, all right, please sit down and write down how you're feeling. And at first they looked at me like, what do you, we don't want to write right now? And I'm like, I get it. I get you're upset, but just write down how you're feeling. I'm like, first say it. How are you feeling? And guys, he said, well, I'm sad. And then Kiki said, well, I'm mad, right? And then I'm like, all right, let's write those down, right? So they wrote them down. I'm like, what else? What else are you feeling? And then guys, he said like confused or something like that. So I'm like, all right, we'll write down confused, right? And Kiki's looking at me like, it's confused, right? I'm like, write it down, And then they said other things that they were feeling at that moment. They were having an intense moment, right? Both of them. And then I was like, all right, take a deep breath. They took a deep breath. And I'm like, okay, own that. That's yours, okay? But now we're going to release it. We came here to our gas stove, turned it on, and God's like, what are you doing, right? She got really scared. And I'm like, chill, just breathe, right? She's like, I think you're going to burn the house. I'm like, I'm not going to burn the house. Stop. I'm like, we always treat fire with respect, right? So I'm like, give me your letter, and I got it. And then I burnt it, right? And then she was like, that alone just was like, whoa, like it shook her, right? And then I got Kiki's and I put it on the fire, And again, adult supervision. My daughter.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, our daughters are 7 and 5. So, I'm just making sure I'm monitoring that. And then I got the papers as they're in flames and I put them in the sink, which is right next door to the stove. And then I turn on the water and I put it out. And I'm like, okay, you got rid of that. Now
I'm gonna let that go.
Yeah, you let that go now. We just purged it. We got the fire got rid of that. And something about the visual of the fire eating that up and burning that up, you could see it in them that it shifted them. And they're like, And then it brought a smile. And then out of the blue, I just like made myself laugh. And then they started laughing. And then I'm like, okay, now take a deep breath. And then, now we're good. See, we're good and we're clear. Just...
Yeah.
That's this time it worked. Maybe next time it won't. But it's like exploring these different things with the elements.
Yeah. There's a lot. The showers, water. This
exactly
kind of burning these feelings away.
Yeah.
You're seeing it, so you're getting this visual.
Yeah.
And fire is very transformative too.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything else to add? Any self-care tips? Because you're good at this. He's like the self-care master.
One of my beliefs is that you really don't have to take too much action to make things happen. Okay? Yes. I get a lot in the workshops I do or that we do. I get a lot of like the students or participants be like, "What? Well, I gotta work 9 to 5, brother. I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Okay, let me finish." Again, I'm wired that way, and I'm thankful that I'm wired that. I'm just trusting. I trust that my alignment with the universe is one. Therefore, when I envision something, it takes very little action in my behalf initially. Initially, I just envision it and I put it out. This is what I desire. This is where I see myself, right? And then the universe does what it does and it brings it back to you. Within that time where I'm just self-care, providing a lot of love for me, I'm preparing, see? I'm taking care of my being, because when it comes, you better be ready.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm preparing myself. I'm polishing myself. So that way when I get that phone call, when I get that email, when I get that text, hey, that project, we want to meet with you. We saw your work online, or we heard of you because, you did something over here and they really are happy with your work. We want to meet you. I am ready to execute.
Yeah.
And these projects are not small projects, they're big projects. So then when I go in there, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Once that big project's done, right? Then I'm like, I retreat to my safe space. And maybe something else comes in. At that time, I measure myself and I'm like, can I take this on? Or do I need me time?
Yeah, like energetically, am I really ready for this,
Okay, if you work a 9-to-5 job, what I'm saying is that you got your 9-to-5. And I get it, a lot of people are like, oh man, I gotta go to my 9-to-5, right? What I'm saying is, do your best there. Try and conserve as much energy as you can there. That when you come home, having your life purpose in mind, then you start planning out. You start journaling. Yeah. Okay, from this point, I'm going to go to that point. From that point, I'm going to go to this point. And then allow the universe to also assist you, to add to you.
Yeah.
You're preparing yourself to open these doors.
Yeah.
When those doors open, be ready.
Yeah. Just my experience from working 9-to-5, I noticed that the little things that helped me feel better and really allowed, like the self-care techniques was just kind of preparing my own food at home, taking a lot of fruits and veggies, drinking a lot of water, tea, was really helpful. And then a lot of times when we work 9-to-5, we're in an office, so we can't be out, obviously 9-to-5, we're behind a screen a lot of times, is during that lunch break, just go for a walk, I would kind of eat my lunch on my desk and then I would go for a walk, and just be out, breathe, and for me, one thing that I would do is, I remember I had a tape player.
Right.
Like, I had a tape player and I would, I had all these tapes of like old music, kind of psychedelic, Santana and Jimi Hendrix and the Doors. But I remember it really helped break me away from the monotony of being in an office,
Through music.
So I would kind of just rock
That's
out,
cool.
I wouldn't spend a lot of time talking to a lot of people because I remember, at least where I worked at, sometimes there was a lot of gossip, and so I think being in my own little world was really helpful,
Right.
Kind of protecting my space.
And then that, I think I like what you're saying is eating good food while you're there at that 9-to-5, so you're nourishing your body, you're nourishing your being, so that way you truly do have that energy once you get home to work on your own thing, right?
Yeah. And that's really
important.
What happened to me. I worked a 9-to-5 so I can, make ends meet. And then, but I would come home and be like, I'm still a singer, I'm a performer, a community organizer, I'm an artist, I'm still going to do what I'm passionate about. I didn't sleep much during that time. But then eventually I was able to let go of the 9-to-5 because I wasn't dependent on that income.
Right.
And I wasn't afraid anymore to like trust and branch out on my own and figure out what it was that I really wanted to do,
And I think initially, what a lot of people fear is like the pay cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are used to getting that nice check bi-weekly or weekly, and then next thing you know, maybe with your own business, maybe it's half. Yeah. And that's why for me, it's important that this is a twofold reason. It's like, one, I'm not much about accumulating and having things, and that's just not wired that way. when I was younger, I explored that. I thought it was cool. Okay, but then I got over it. But that's one part. That's one facet. The other facet is because I've been working on my life's purpose and I've been doing what I need to do. I need to travel light. You know, and all this stuff that if I accumulate all this stuff, I can't take it with me. And for what?
Yeah.
So you got to choose, because I've had people where they tell me, they're like, man, I can't give up that luxury life, man. Yeah. And I'm like, exactly. You choose. Yeah. You choose. If you can't be without, you know, those nice $150, $200, $300 sneakers, those $300 pants, you know, that designer shirt. Hey, I get it. You know, I understand, you know, but what's more important? See?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know. I remember. I made quite a few $1,000s a month at my previous job. You know, it was a nice paycheck, I guess, for where I was at that point in time in my life. But I still lived paycheck to paycheck because I was blowing money left and right on nothing.
Yeah.
On eating out, on treating out all my friends. You know, on going to concerts every single night, which was fun, and I lived it and I experienced it. But I mean, I could have been. I mean, if I had that money now, I mean, I'd be like traveling the world, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, it goes
I'd be
back
using
to,
it different, you know.
It goes back to money management, time management, but when we're younger, we don't tap into those things because we're also having fun. Yeah. And I think that you hit it there. You had fun. See? Yeah. So maybe it was worth it. See?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm still having fun. It's just different.
In a different way. Yeah. You don't want to be the 60-year-old at the club, you know, still dancing, or maybe you do.
I mean, I do. I do want to be the 60-year-old at the club still dancing, but step by step, you know. Yeah. I'm somewhere else right now.
I hear you. I was thinking about that earlier when I was driving. I was like, you know what? Being a father is like a facet in my life that's been present already for more than half my life. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it's a responsibility and an honor to be a father, but it's one that's made me grow exponentially. Mm-hmm. And same thing, I had the choice of either being a father I can go bananas, or I can enjoy life, you know? And I think right now where I'm in life, it's definitely that. I'm enjoying being a dad and, you know, being present for them, you know, and not putting work in front of them, you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially that I have my art studio here at home. Yeah. So being mindful that when they're around, I give them that attention, you know, and then it's like, all right, girls, I do have to work, but not taking that away from them.
To keep us.
Cool, baby. Well,
cool, lover.
I had a good talk with you.
Likewise.
I enjoyed talking to you, and what I wanted to do was, this is the 8th episode, so I wanted to bring it back, like wanted to infinitely bring it back to you, you know, and then because again, I think the previous 7 episodes had been about the past. I've been asking people about their past, but I think now it's shifting gears and like, you know what? I really feel that everybody has wisdom. Let's tap into that. Yeah. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoy these conversations. I enjoy watching them. I like learning about people's stories, but I'm down with you when you say like, yeah, let's focus on the present, the future, and how we can share that beauty with others, you know?
Yeah, well, I think what's happening is that while we're sharing our past and some of us have moved forward from that, a lot of us haven't. So I think that I also got to be mindful that I'm not triggering
for sure
things that really are not serving us no more, you know, and maybe the viewer, maybe they're getting triggered by somebody's story, you know, and it's like, you know what, if we all have wisdom, let's share the wisdom instead.
Yeah, let's keep growing.
Yeah, let's keep growing, and, you know, I think everybody is going at their pace, you know, everybody's learning and gathering at their pace, so I rather, at least for these next 7 episodes, I rather focus on wisdom.
Yeah, I'm down with you.
Cool. Thank you all for joining us. I'll have Irene's Instagram here at the bottom here, next to in the bottom of her. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.